welcome to episode 5 of Application Nation. Today I interviewed two women, Rebecca Hachi and Pamela McCraddock. They are two people who are part of the nonprofit called Women Who Code, and I thought that they would be a great company to incorporate into this podcast so that we could hear from fellow Philadelphians as well as just people who are interested in this technological world that we are all surrounded by. And I learned so much from them, and I'm so excited for you to hear from them. So let's give it up for Rebecca and Pamela.
Women Who Code is a nonprofit dedicated to inspiring women to excel in technology careers. So we want to see a world where diverse women are represented as technical leaders, executive founders, venture capitalists. So not just women who code as software engineers, but women who are in all sorts of technology careers. I got involved when I moved to the Philadelphia area around 2018. I saw that there used to actually be a network in this area, and I was really interested in getting involved again, so applied to get it restarted, and we relaunched in early 2020. And it's just been really fun getting to know all the women working in tech in this area and putting events together. It's been really rewarding.
So, where you previously lived, you were also involved with Women Who Code?
So I wasn't actually. So I was living in Pittsburgh before, and I was involved in a couple of local tech meetups there, some agile, some security ones. And moving out here, I didn't know anybody and wanted to be able to meet people and have a community out here as well. And I happened to go to this iOS Dev Camp DC, and they actually donate all of their proceeds to Women Who Code. And I met someone from Women Who Code who was there at the event, and we talked a bit. And I understood more about how to do the relaunching process, which at first I had just submitted the application and didn't know what was going on, but it was really helpful to actually connect with someone and talk to them about the process.
Okay, how about you, Pamela?
I had originally met Becca through another cause. So I had been part of another cause that was similar, but it was around kids, basically tech girls, it was called, not to mix causes on the same call. But this particular cause was for younger, women, I guess females, right? Learning to come up in tech. And that's always been a passionate cause of mine, to help send the ladder down to other, whether it be young women looking into tech or STEM jobs, or women in general, looking into elevating their technology careers, wherever that is. And so I actually met Becca at another cause. We were actually doing an event before COVID. And I can honestly say she kind of sucked me in there. That's the great thing about networking through some of these causes, right? You meet someone with similar interests. And once you meet someone with similar interests, they say, hey, I'm starting this relaunch. Would you like to maybe, I think she had me set up to do a speaking event there around a particular book at the beginning, right? That we had read as part of upskilling around, not skilling, but just broadening our horizon around some specific, like a book that I had recently read. But that being said, then a year later, I think in January, there was some changes because, it takes time, right? And one of the directors was leaving, and Becca said, hey, would you mind, would you be interested? And I said, absolutely. I'd love to come co-direct and feed that part of, sending the ladder back down, being a ladder for others, elevating other women in technology. I would absolutely be honored to be part of Women Who Code Philadelphia. So that's how I started to get involved with Women Who Code.
Great. Thank you, Pamela.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, if you're comfortable sharing, what's your current job and how does that apply to Women Who Code?
Yeah, so my current position is as the VP of Technology for a marketing agency, Simpatico Studios. They're in the Philadelphia area, right outside of New Britain, and we do a lot of mobile and app development and web development, so I kind of handle that side of it and help with resourcing and sourcing software for us to use. And yeah, so I'm actually it's a little bit funny because I'm fairly resistant to advertisements and I find them annoying, but it really helped me understand how advertising can actually help connect services together. So, like Women Who Code, it's really useful to be able to understand how to find and connect with people who want to join our community. And it's really useful to be able to connect people who want to use different apps with their user base and actually find out that it exists, that this is a technology that's available. It's something that's really useful to other people. So it's been really interesting in leveraging some of the minimal experience with social media that I have to actually be on Twitter and advertising our events.
So, as you said that you do app and web development for your company, can you just briefly, what are the main 3 steps in order to create an app?
Yeah, so the main one to start off with would really be scoping. So figuring out what features and functionality are essential, like what you really need to get started. And then doing designs would be the second step, figuring out the UX, figuring out the layout of everything. And then obviously the last one would be development and testing. You have to actually get it to work.
So, how long is that process usually?
Yeah, so it can vary a lot. I'd say generally like 8 to 12 weeks for like a first launch of something. Depending on the complexity, it could be a lot longer.
Okay. And then from there, do you have to advertise that app?
Yeah, so we usually do integrated marketing campaigns. So you tie together the launch, the email marketing, the social media. This is not my purview, so I'm going very high level with this because I only understand that it needs to be all connected together.
Now let's hear from Pamela and where she comes from in the technical world.
Yeah, and it's really funny. For the first time, it just all clicked. And I'll kind of get into that where Becca starts and it kind of does the baton handoff to someone in my position, right? So I work at Microsoft. I'm a business applications and power platform customer success manager. And basically what that means, and I work in the financial service industry aligned to banks. And let me just say, I had no idea about banking at all until I joined Microsoft and started down this path. And part of my position is my role really is to take those apps that are developed, business applications, and we just call them apps because they really is everything's in an app form these days. And how do we drive those apps to our end users to drive revenue or those success metrics that are going to keep the organization rolling? And that means practices, guidance around how you set those apps up, adoption. So change management is huge. Are you getting buy-in from the end users? How are we going to ensure the end users use this? And this is actually making their job worthwhile every day. So I was thinking about the software development life cycle and where Becca's like, all right, let's go through the requirements gathering, design, and develop and test, right? Of those apps. Then as post deployment, those are then handed to someone. I'm usually a part of those project teams. And I then say, okay, we need to ensure that we're setting up that when those apps are turned over to the end users in the organization, that they're able to pick up and meet these KPIs that we want to hit, such as 10% revenue growth in the long run. We want to ensure that we're communicating across our business and maybe driving employee engagement in some way. But really, that's where my role really plays in. And apps aren't just like social media, but those are parts of it, right? But how do you get like your timesheet into an application or a backend database? How do you, let's say, go into you're an agent who works in like taking a pictures of assessing a house to see if it's worthwhile to buy? How do you take pictures and use backend artificial intelligence?
So, apps include artificial intelligence, which is beyond my mind, but the fact that that is out there is exactly what this podcast is. Let's keep going.
to maybe take pictures and say, oop, that looks like a spot, and train a machine learning model to say that spot looks like it might be an issue. We need to go ahead and we might not pass this inspection to the end user who's just using their phone, like maybe someone out there that's fed back into the business. So like apps in general are just mind blowing in a general, like in my think about it, it's just mind blowing what we do with apps today. Like we live on an app society. So for the first time, I just want to say, working with you, Becca, I just realized where we kind of like become one full circle, right? And things that I may say, hey, this app isn't maybe the best, the feedback in it, like, could we do this instead? We'd send back into our development teams, let's just you to do another enhancement on it so that we can then improve, continuous improvement on those apps.
So in your experience, Pamela, have you seen growth and transition that you've seen in your particular industry?
One of the particular growth, this is just something that's maybe with myself, right? We're always looking for, I see that women, I'm going to just, maybe this is a plug for women in general. I was just recently on a diversity, equity, and inclusion meeting last week, and someone said, we need more women in tech. And what I said was, do we really need more women in tech? Are we just not looking particularly for women in the right places? Because there are plenty of women that are technology, who have the skill set to help build these apps. I will say this, and just because I know this is this may not fall, this is a passion of mine, but we need to be looking for the right people in the right places, especially in like WW code. There are plenty of women who are technology advanced or can do these skills, have even the skill set to learn, that we need to be reaching back into these organizations and causes and help connect them and bring them into the organizations. We're not always going to find them in these pockets. So one of the things that I've seen growth on is these, WIT. We need to be the low code, no code apps are becoming huge. You don't need to have a computer science degree to do some of these things. You just need to love to have that growth mindset that, hey, I can possibly learn this, and just go with it. So I see more low code, no code coming in the future. And the citizen developers, they call it, like anyone can develop apps. They'll always need people like myself or Becca to like think of the back end part of it, to plug maybe some of those things in, but more people, we can really tap into the collective community as a whole to really like drive. Everyone has an idea. I just, we need to drive into that intelligence, and we can really help the world achieve more if we do that.
Right. I know I've really never understood the whole point of me choosing this topic is because of it's just there's such an unknown to it, and I've never been like associated with tech women before because that's just not what I do. So it's been really interesting to see. So I did look on your website. So it says that member demographics, 50% are engineers, 26% are like the other tech roles, and then 8% executives, and so on. Do you guys fall in as engineers, would you say?
I'd say I'm probably half in the engineer category, half in the executive category.
Right, because you're the VP.
And I would say I sit in the other and dip my toes only to guide if needed. I really like to stay in my lane these days, and only if I need to step in, maybe to suggest the way that I would see a problem going through. Maybe we can look at it this way, but I really try to stay in my lane, because learning is something everyone should do. And only if somebody asks, like, I'm really stuck here, and I'm like, I maybe if you thought about it this way, but typically like to stay in my lane with things.
What would you say the general characteristics of a member of Women Who Code would have? Like, who would be the typical woman who's coming in and like, I want to be part of this, and how can I get involved?
Yeah, I'd just say someone with a desire to learn and grow, or like those are the main things that I think someone coming in should have. And you don't really need to have any experience in technology, like just an interest and a desire to learn more.
Are these women generally already working?
So some of them are, it's really a mix. So we get people who are just starting out their journey in tech and are looking to see what they're interested in. We get people who are midway through their careers or early on. It's really a mix.
Mix of it. Okay, great. Pamela, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, and some of them are just transitioning from lawyers to technologists. Some are coming in from working in maybe like not data sciences. For some reason that's on my mind. But
Yeah.
we've had lawyers that are coming in. We've had project managers with no tech experience coming in. It really doesn't matter. And just recently too, Allie, we went through this kind of revamp on our, with Philadelphia. It's like however you identify, come in. Like we have allies too, and I really want to give credit. We have I think we've done a really good job with our allies, Becca. Like we have men that have come in. So whoever they are, however they identify, come here, because what we do is connect, right? And to help empower them to go out into the world best as possible.
With Women Who Code, there's 1,600 companies and organizations, and they say that they have posted jobs with Women Who Code. So there's a lot of ways that you can get, like, if you're unemployed, you're looking for a job, is it a good place to go?
Oh yeah, yeah. So there's the job board, which is obviously a really easy way to just get started and start looking for something. And then just having other people to talk to and to talk through the application process, the interview process, and just connect you with opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
That looks awesome. Pamela, do you have anything to add, or?
Oh, I always have something to add. Listen, there's always someone that knows someone that we can connect you to or try to connect you to.
Right.
So whether it be the job board or just talking about, hey, how do I start going down this path? I'll tell you honestly, Becca is one of those just great directors who says, hey, I think we have at least it seemed like this, 2 people a week that's reaching out. Like, can we talk to you about where we are in our journey? And who can we connect you to, because we're not always the point of contact that would be best to maybe mentor or speak to where you are in your journey and their experience. So I think that that you just come. That's what matters. What matters is that you show up, and then the rest is the bonus, right? So
Okay. And we'll end on, if you can elaborate on any memorable experiences that you've had at Women Who Code.
I'll just speak to last week, Allie. Like this is like one thing I thought about last week. So I think it was last weekend. We have a very casual coffee code and chat on Saturdays, right? Like it's 2 hours. There's a volunteer who spins up some music, and there's actually an age group too. So like an age gap. So most people are in their 20s, and I'll be absolutely candid, I'm 45, right? So the somebody ended up actually, and this is Pam Craddock, instead of saying director, they called me their den mother, basically, and which made me laugh so hard, right? Like this is so funny. But the actual experience is like, here's 2 hours on a Saturday, and last weekend I saw 2 groups break out into different rooms, and this happens every coffee code and chat, is that women are connecting. Like we dropped LinkedIn, like there's a very honest open conversation of like, I'm scared, I don't know what's going on with boot camp, how do I get through this, to how do I, now just throw something very general, how do I what is Kotlin, and what is React, like these programming languages, who can I talk to? And what happens in there is just absolutely, to diversity topics, is incredible. And the way that each of the members help each other through that, every time I show up to a coffee code and chat, my heart gets bigger, because I see that we're not so separated through COVID, and that others, the community of that actually is connecting all of us together. It makes my heart feel good, because someone feels better. They're like, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I get LinkedIn messages afterwards saying, I really loved coffee code and chat. Thank you. And we're connecting continually. So that kind of elevating, or you're not alone in this world, we're going to help you get through whatever you're getting through together, means everything. And it's a Saturday morning. I'd rather sleep in rather than put my hair in a ponytail and brush my teeth and have a cup of coffee for 2 hours, right? So that is an experience that, even though I'm like, oh, I gotta go do the coffee code and chat on Saturday, it's, by the time I'm done, I'm a different person. I leave. Bottom line is, I feel just very honored to be a part of those 2 hours on Saturdays.
Yeah, that's the amount of like
Yeah.
challenges, and just like, it's a lot. So
even if someone wants to sleep in on a Saturday, I'm sure it's so encouraging to hear other people in the same boat, like mentors like yourself that can, touch on that.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
How about you, Becca?
Yeah, so I think just the one I think back to is in general just having the opportunity for women to tell their stories of their careers in tech and their different paths, how they got there. One of Pam's friends actually spoke about her journey in data science, Rosemary, and that talk was so awesome, and we got such great feedback, like really heartfelt messages from people just starting their journeys, people like continuing going back to school about how much it inspired them, and it was just so good to hear.
Thanks to Pam and Becca of Women Who Code, we now know more about another community among the technology world in Philadelphia and greater than Philadelphia. It's all over the country, and there are just two people in this community that have a lot to say, and they have their own positions and their own companies, but they give their time for a reason. So app development is amazing, and Pam and Becca have supplied so much for us to go off of. So I really appreciate it, and I hope that you guys enjoyed episode 5 of Application Nation.